On there, huh? Well, good morning, everybody. Personally speaking, I'm glad to be back in Hawaii. I just came back from Africa, Kenya, and Tanzania to see the Great Migration. And I still don't know where they're migrating to, but that's okay. I thought I'd join the family. It was quite an experience, and I suggest if you're gonna go see all these wild animals in their habitat and eating each other up, do it while you're young. But it was tough on my body.
Yeah.
It was interesting. But anyway, nice to see everybody. Harry, nice seeing you. Yeah, see everything's okay. Bev and Robert, yeah, hi.
I'm having trouble getting the gallery view here. I want to see everybody. Hold on.
Tell me when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. I see Bev.
All right. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Hawaii State Ethics Commission. Today is August the 16th, and the time is now 9 o'clock, and we started the meeting. And first of all, we should have roll call, and please acknowledge and tell us if you're alone.
Starting first with Vice Chair McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm here and I'm alone.
Commissioner Tobias.
I'm here and I'm alone.
Commissioner Hall.
Here and alone.
And recognizing Commissioner Thielen and the chair are in the public hearing room with myself and Miles. Turning to staff, Keith.
Here and alone.
Benita. Sorry, Benita, can you say it again? Why don't you thumbs up for present and alone? Okay, Jared.
Present and alone.
Nancy.
Present and alone.
Jennifer.
I'm present and alone.
Patrick.
Present and alone.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Just administrative announcements. Turn off your cell phones, and also if you need to be recognized, please raise your hand so we can see you on the WebEx that can recognize you. First order of business, it's a pleasure to welcome our newest member on the State Ethics Commission, and known her for some time. I won't say how long. But we're very fortunate to have her with her wealth of many years, I won't say how many, of legislative and legal experience. And I'm going to ask Robert to introduce her.
Certainly, it's my pleasure to introduce Commissioner Thielen, who she probably would not appreciate me saying this, but was my representative when I was in high school and when the very first representative I met.
I love it.
And I also had the honor of working with her while she was at the legislature. I was with a nonprofit organization. It was a real pleasure to work with her. So likewise, look forward to working with her on the commission now. We did issue a press release, which everybody should have seen on July 28th. And the Civil Beat, as I recall, said something to the fact that they were thrilled to see you on the commission. So
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to say a few words, Commissioner Thielen?
I'm just very grateful that the governor did select my name, and I really appreciate it, and being able to work with such a wonderful group of people. And we've probably known each other a half a century.
Ooh. Okay, at least, yes, we've known each other for a long time. And kudos to the governor. See, he's not biased in regards to which party you're from.
No. I appreciate that.
Yes. Okay, moving right along, need a motion to approve the minutes of July 19, 2000. Oh, I'm sorry, before I forget, do we have anybody from the public?
There's no one.
No, because what I would ask if any member of the public would say something about our new commissioner, but since we don't have anybody from the public, we'll just move on. I need a a motion to approve the minutes of July 19, 2023.
So moved.
Second,
Moved by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Tobias, is that correct?
yes.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call?
Starting at Vice Chair McCarthy.
Aye.
Sorry, Vice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Tobias,
Aye.
Commissioner Hong,
Aye.
Commissioner Thielen.
I wasn't here, so.
Correct. Yeah, thank you. Chair.
Aye, no objections, motion's carried. Directors to report.
Thank you. As I mentioned last time, we have promoted 2 staff, and I'm going to turn it over to them to run their 2 relevant sections. So starting first with Bonita, assuming we've got headphones working.
Testing.
Good.
Yeah. Good morning, commissioners. I'm going to give the report on the training aspects of our office. So in terms of self-directed training, we've seen an incredible jump in the number of self-directed online training. This is largely due to the DOE personnel coming online and taking the training as part of the back-to-school season. So for 2023, to date, as of August 6th, we've seen, I think, approximately over 18,000 go through the online module. That's approximately a 300% increase from 2022, and we're not even done at the end of the year yet. So we anticipate that is going to continue to climb. I think one day alone, the last 2 weeks, we had over 2,000 users accessing the training. So all of this is being done without added funding or staffing support. So we definitely want to say big thanks to our clerical staff and Patrick for helping to manage the bulk of the labor involved in administering these new requirements on top of our daily responsibilities that we handle guidance requests, complaints, and processing of disclosures. So big thanks to the staff. In addition to the self-directed training, we continue to offer live trainings, and we have several large sessions, I think, scheduled for DOE personnel at the end of August, roughly 500 each. I'm not sure the exact numbers, but we're looking at large numbers for the Honolulu district. And in July, as I mentioned last month, we had several information sessions for agency HR contacts and board administrators who serve as our resource partners and point of contacts with the various agencies and state boards. The purpose of these sessions were to explain the requirements of the new law, types of resources that we have developed, and kind of answer some of the common FAQ questions, how and where to take the training, so that our agency partners can help disseminate information to their respective agency employees and board members. And we received incredible positive feedback from our folks who attended those sessions. So we're going to continue doing that outreach. Priorities for the rest of the year, we're going to continue working on outreach with our agency partners to get as many people on board. The intent of the law was always to increase the number of people who just take ethics training in general, and we've done that tenfold over. So right now we're going to just continue focusing on outreach and finding ways to administer the law and the training program efficiently. Yesterday I met with DOE, HR, and which is in the process of replacing their learning management system, which is a kind of computer program that allows more efficient ways of handling training for large agencies. So hopefully we'll be able to include links to our training module and be able to cover the masses for DOE. So moving forward, we're looking forward to that collaboration with DOE. That's pretty much it. Also, just in light of the situation on Maui, we're also being mindful, with people being directly impacted, indirectly impacted, as well as agency personnel who are having to respond to the crisis situation. So we're being sensitive to those issues as well as we, roll out these requirements.
Okay, thank you very much, Benita. Any questions from the commissioner, first of all? And there are no one from the public. Any comments from the staff? Okay, if not, is there a second part to this?
Yep.
I would, right before you start, I would like to emphasize that according to statistics, we are now at approximately 54% of all state employees have taken ethics training. Approximately 31,000 people have gone through the ethics training, with a total number of self-reported employees of 58,000 state employees. They try to walk a fine line here between recognizing the incredible number of people who have gone through the training, most of them this year, in the past 7 months, the incredible amount of work that's been done to make sure that that's happening, while also recognizing, we still got, a lot more people to try to get through. So, again, I think there is a opportunity here for a pat on the back, but also to recognize we still got some work ahead of us.
I'll echo that. I think it's great that we're getting the word out in regard to education. So I hate to have someone who says, "Oh, nobody told me I was doing anything wrong." At least they're getting the education. There shouldn't be any excuse in regards to any violations. So I echo the congratulations to the staff in regard to getting the word out about ethics and how important it is. Key, I believe you're next.
Great. So basically, as you can see, we've got 85 closed assignments, and then we got 63 new assignments. So we had a very productive month, and we continue to close assignments at a good rate. In terms of what's new, we are getting a decent amount of nepotism exception applications. I think we have 6 or 7. We closed several of those, and there's a new rulings tab on our website, which shows those publicly available nepotism decisions. But that's essentially what's going on.
Yeah, congratulations on that. I've been getting some personal emails in regard to, good, I'm glad you guys are doing something about nepotism, except for one thing, it doesn't apply to the legislature. So I don't know how to answer that. As all of you know, the governor did not sign the bill because he said it didn't include the legislature, but well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it again. Any questions?
I should note, for the sake of making sure we don't get any angry emails from the legislature, that both bodies have passed rules prohibiting nepotism. The Senate had that in place for a number of years. The House has passed it on a going forward basis. So essentially, employees that are already in place are grandfathered in.
I have a question for Keith. Keith, what's the kind of the nature of the exemptions for nepotism that you're receiving?
You're on mute.
Yeah, so basically, generally we have some people that are seeking exemptions where they don't really need an exemption. So, they've offered to recuse off of them. We have other situations where, positions are being advertised, for a certain period of time, and they're wondering whether or not that's an acceptable number of acceptable amount of time to hire a relative, etc. So they're pretty case by case and fact specific. We're still kind of hammering out templates, I would say.
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks.
You have a question. I think I asked it before. Because of our education program, are we getting an increase or decrease in the number of complaints? I think Robert was saying we're probably going to get an increase because now everybody knows what's wrong.
You're on mute again.
I keep clicking unmute and it keeps staying. But generally, I would say that when we do trainings, my experience has been we get an increase of complaints after trainings because people, they know what the law is and they've seen XYZ things happen. So they bring it to our attention after trainings. But when you look at our stats, it looks fairly consistent across the board in terms of the number of complaints. So, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners?
One other for Keith. Do you get any, or maybe we should anticipate there may be some exemptions based upon kind of long-term activities? Sort of like, are we going to grandfather people in who've been doing this for many, 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 many years? And then all of a sudden we got this law with respect to nepotism. Is that one of the considerations we're going to have with respect to granting exemptions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to get down to, you know, the specific facts of the circumstance. But in situations where, you know, there is literally one person who can do this type of activity in the state, you know, or something where it's someone is very specialized, it's not possible to hire around the issue. You know, I think those would be situations that, you know, the law would say that potentially good cause exists. So, you know, I do think there's opportunity for grandfathering, but I think you're going to have to meet the good cause standard like the
Okay.
law requires. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Not?
We do have, just on miscellaneous office projects / updates. Briefly with regards to the Maui wildfires, which, I, you know, want to recognize is of the utmost seriousness, and a lot of state officials and county officials' minds are appropriately focused on. Just as an update, we issued a email alert to several executive branch heads and the legislature, indicating that under a rule, ordinarily fundraising using state resources is prohibited. However, there is an exception to the rule for proclamation, in this case by the governor, which we recognize as a proclamation authorizing or recognizing the emergency situation, and essentially alerting states that it was appropriate to use state resources for that purpose. In conjunction with that, I think you saw, for example, the Capitol, you know, had a tremendous number of donations received and have been or are in the process of being sent off. So again, just trying to be responsive in a quick amount of time and try to make sure that there's clarity. In addition, we had a number of phone calls from different divisions and departments in the judiciary, all sort of on this vein. We've essentially been trying to be as cautious as possible, and yet also trying to be as flexible to the situation as needed. So we've tried to provide guidance or what's the best way to do the fundraising. So for example, some of the specific questions that have come up is, for example, GoFundMe to help a specific individual that's been impacted. We provided the advice, for example, that if it is a person working for a department or division, it would be appropriate to do something of that nature, almost akin to cat to cat in the division itself, but not turn it external facing. So just kind of giving an example from the advice that's been provided. Shifting gears, Kogel is set in early December. From my understanding, and I'm basically saying this, so if anybody wants to jump in, please let me know. Currently, Commissioner Tobias and Commissioner Hong are going to be attending. In addition, both he and myself have been invited to speak at Kogel, and so we'll both be attending. And Jennifer is also going to be attending, basically now that she's got 2 years under her belt, ready to go. So we'll send a total of 5 people to Kogel this year. If anybody is interested in attending, you want to join us in Kansas City.
Oh, the invitation is open. What's the temperature in Kansas City in December?
I really want
It's not good.
When I got on this commission, I said, why in the world we have, you know, our conferences in December? Philadelphia, Chicago. I mean, you know, I don't know about you, but I freeze. And but anyway, I hope you folks enjoy the conference. You learn a lot. You learn a lot. So again, it's open. Commissioner Thielen, if you want to join them, that's fine. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, nobody will ever accuse us of going on boondoggle.
Well, I think that was one of the reasons. What if we had it in Hawaii? Hawaii? Oh, no way. Okay.
One final thing.
Yeah, sure.
Just as a notification, we sent around a notice. We have hired a new staff attorney who will be joining us on October 2nd. Look forward to introducing you to her, and also be appreciative. We've been down that position now for 3 or 4 months. So looking forward to kind of getting back up to speed.
Comes from the AG's office, right?
Right.
Yeah, good. Let's see. why don't we talk about the upcoming conference on September the 1st? First of all, I want to thank all those who have volunteered to do Uber. That's the guys who are picking up everybody from the airport, that there are 3 of us, so thank you. Go ahead.
Similarly in the same vein, I'd like to recognize the staff who've been doing an incredible amount of work. Probably like Caroline in particular deserve a lot of praise for helping coordinate travel and a lot of the logistics that I think without her, this wouldn't be happening. We are hoping to finalize the program this week. We have a number of notable speakers that are going to be participating, including the Lieutenant Governor, the Mayor of Honolulu, Dan Foley as the former chair of the Standards Commission, Claire Connors. We also have a number of state agencies that will be there available for questions, interactions, OAP, elections, campaign spending, and the new head of the AG's white collar criminal division. So, looking forward to it. But, obviously the conference will be as good as the overall, as we make it to be. So I really do hope everyone shows up with sort of the spirit of asking questions, starting conversations, developing relationships, and hopefully building for the future.
Yeah, let me echo my thanks to Robert and the staff for coordinating this conference. The last conference, for those of you who don't remember, was more than 5 years ago. This time we're doing it in conjunction, or actually co-sponsorship with the Honolulu Ethics Commission. So it'll be a good conference, and I get a lot out of it by finding out and knowing the commissioners and the staff from the outer islands and sharing our knowledge so we can all do our job much better. Any questions from, first of all, the commissioners? Any questions from the commissioners about the conference?
I have one. Robert, will you be sending out the copy of the agenda when it's finalized to everybody?
Yes, what I will send you will still look like a draft. We are submitting it to the Honolulu, City and County of Honolulu has a design team that will be making the agenda look pretty, for lack of a better word. So I'll be happy to send out the final draft before it goes to them. And then obviously you'll get the pretty version when they're done.
And secondly, I will not be able to attend the conference in person, but would I be able to access it through Zoom or some electronic means to see what's up?
Yes. So we will be in a total of largely 2 different rooms. One of them is very well set up. We've never used it before. So I've been telling everyone this will be in the form of a streaming service. As in, I don't know how well monitored we'll be able to, make it interactive or essentially make it sort of professional, like, most modern conferences are. We will try to make sure the stream's working, functioning, and hopefully everyone can hear, but it may be difficult to monitor, have questions, and sort of have that interactiveness. Just because, again, limited number of staff and we're going into a room we haven't really used before. But we'll do our best to try to make sure that that's working. There will be in the afternoon breakout sessions, and again, those will get harder to do. Both sort of as they go to small table and as we go into the other room where I don't think there is video camera equipment. So it may be a little bit of a play it by ear and see how it's going kind of situation.
Maybe I can help you answer that question. My neighborhood board meets in this room that we're going to be at the Kapalama Hale. It's a very big room, and we do use the same setup, this WebEx, in regards to the neighborhood board meeting, which I'm the chair. So it's easy for the chair to go and, you raise your hand and you can get recognized if you have any questions. So hopefully that'll be the same setup. So to answer your question, Harry, you will have access and we will see a smiling face.
Okay.
Yes, Beth?
Excuse me. Question about if there are so many speakers, important speakers, what will our role be as commissioners?
A number of the So you heard a number of state agencies that are there. I guess I'm answering your question a little circuitously. I hope you don't mind. A number of the agencies will be there as sort of a, hi, I'm here. And then at lunch, we're going to make tables available to folks who have, particularly the neighbor islands, I think, who may not interact with these different agencies, have an opportunity to go interact, ask questions. So their portion or part of the overall conference may be relatively small time-wise, but it's more of just making connections and being available. There is, during the breakout sessions, I think a deliberate intent to kind of start a conversation. So for example, if there's a breakout session on gifts, the intent is to do a presentation a bit on sort of the development and sort of where we are, but then start provoking conversation among the different commissioners and staff that are there. Sort of general policy, where are we headed? What should we do? Kind of discussing. So I think the idea is encouraging you to be active in that and sort of share what we've learned over the process. My guess is we probably see more just in terms of activity. We are, obviously being the state, the largest, we probably see the most number of cases. And so in some ways we may have more experience than others. In addition, there is going to be a breakout session in Chuck for commissioners only. I think it's a good networking, good opportunity to meet each other. From a sunshine perspective, I do have to caution, you can't talk about anything that is before the commission or will likely become before the commission. Talking about general policy and education is fine, but I think the idea is you start talking about something specific, that's potentially a sunshine problem.
Commissioner Tobias, to answer your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more absorbing than participating. And I do encourage our commissioners to interact with the commissioners from the outer islands. You're going to be surprised in regards to the makeup is much different than the Honolulu and the state. I don't know if it's changed, but I'll leave that one up to your impressions. They don't have all the resources that we have, so it's more of a learning experience for them. Any other questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Hong, anything? No. How about the staff? Any questions? Any comments from the staff? None. Okay. Well, I want to thank all of you. I think it's going to be very productive. There's a lot to learn. Robert, anything else?
Not on this topic. No, thank you.
Okay. Item number 5, discussion of ethics oversight over the judicial branch.
Just as a reminder, this was a topic brought up at the last meeting with the intent of reaching out to the judiciary to have a conversation and ultimately make recommendations. And then there was a request to make this a standing topic on the agenda. There were very early outreach to the judiciary. However, in light of the Maui wildfires, I decided to hold off a little bit. So there's no update, but hopefully in a couple of weeks, we will coordinate a meeting, hopefully by next meeting, and share or remember that you wanted to be a part of that meeting. So make sure you're invited.
Right. Yeah. Someone was doing some research from the other jurisdictions. Who was doing that?
I was doing that. That was me. I was kind of looking into some of the processes of the Hawaii Commission on Judicial Conduct, as well as those of other states. And I found that it's pretty across the board that judiciaries have their own oversight commissions and are not governed by the ethics commission that applies to the rest of the state. I don't know if there are some overlaps that might occur. For example, perhaps the ethics commissions of other states might take a role in oversight or something like that. That might be something that we recommend, depending on how our initial conversations with the judiciary go. I plan to suggest questions like how they look into complaints, how they do investigations and make recommendations. We've seen that there has been very limited public discipline over the last 100 years. And you know, whether the commission members are truly independent, being that they're appointed by the Supreme Court and would be overseeing complaints about the same Supreme Court. I want to make a distinction that in my last update, I was emphasizing that the US Supreme Court does not have oversight. And that was in response to Chair Fong's concern that they, you know, they really don't have, they don't seem to have anybody to rein them in as far as gives disclosures and other acts that may be conflicts of interest. However, in Hawaii, the Judicial Conduct Code applies to all judges, Supreme Court justices, down to traffic court judges, and so I think that's a possible, you know, area of inquiry. We just would like to find out more about how can folks that were appointed by the Supreme Court, you know, make sure that they're able to investigate complaints about the Supreme Court with impartiality. Perhaps there might be a role for our Ethics Commission to step in and provide some partnering or oversight. We're also interested in how financial disclosures are overseen. We know that they are received and published, which is a good thing, but we don't know if there are mechanisms to ensure that they're received by everybody on a timely basis or if they're accurate. Another concern is that the members, of 7 members, 3 of them seem to have been on the board for 20 years plus. And that's allowed under the rules, but I think that's just one of the other topics we'd like to learn more about as far as making sure that, as far as their efforts and making sure that their oversight is independent. So right now it's kind of like we have questions and then we'll be approaching them from a learning perspective. And then possibly after that, providing recommendations to them. Chair Fong, you also asked me to look into whether our Ethics Commission can have oversight over the judiciary. There's some language in the state constitution as well as an AG opinion that suggests that we possibly might have some room for oversight. There's nothing that precludes it. And so we might be making recommendations based on that angle.
We'll wait for your, you know, the final outcome of your investigation. My concern when I brought it up was who has oversight over the judiciary? That's number one. And who enforces whatever sanctions that are necessary? All of us who are lawyers, of course, we're bound by the Judicial Code of Conduct, and we can get disbarred, but, you know, I don't know what we can do about the judges, except I think they have a review panel. But anyway, looking forward to seeing what your result is. Any questions from the commissioners?
I do.
Yes, Harry.
Just wanted to make sure I understood this correctly. What I've just heard is the Hawaii State Supreme Court have their own code of ethics that they regulate themselves.
Let me clarify that the Hawaii judiciary has a code of ethics that applies to all judges, including Supreme Court justices.
Including Supreme Court, okay.
Hawaii Supreme Court justices.
So that differs from the federal system where the US Supreme Court has no code of ethics themselves. You know, I just wanted to make a comment here. This is an interesting area, but I think in terms of oversight over the judiciary, I think you have a serious, you know, separation of powers problem here. I don't think the judiciary would welcome the executive or any branch of the executive having oversight over the judicial branch because they have their own code of conduct and judicial commission. So just a comment.
Commissioner, if I can respond briefly. I mean, I fully concur that they would probably prefer to keep it in-house, so to speak. Just as a observational, we are not in the executive branch. In fact, we are not we are legislatively attached for purposes of administration, but we are, what I would call an independent branch. It doesn't really fit within the three branches. And again, under the Constitution, specifically set up for the purposes of being able to review these things. Statutorily, judges are taken out of our purview. That's a statutory decision, not a constitutional one. And we do have oversight over the judiciary itself, just not judges.
How do we have oversight over the judiciary? I don't understand that.
They are classified as state employees. We have oversight over state employees. So the
Nice.
clerks and other people working the judiciary fall under our oversight. Judges and justices do not.
Okay. I think as a point of education, certainly having discussions with the judiciary about ethical issues, I think would be a great idea. But in terms of, even though we may not be part of the executive and have sort of an independent status, I just don't think the judiciary would welcome that type of oversight from whatever organization, whatever agency it is, since they have their own independent code.
Fully agreed. And, they don't want it. And I think there are probably some good reservations about us overstepping into it as well, in that for us, for example, to review what's happened in a particular case to determine whether there is a judicial misconduct or not would be a serious expansion of what we do. And it would sort of put a strain on our capacity. So, I don't think there's a wild enthusiasm to suddenly take over oversight of that. I think the intent really is to have a conversation, better understand the process, make sure we're not misreading them, and perhaps make recommendations how to make their current body more objective, more independent, and make recommendations how to beef it up so as to ensure greater amounts of public confidence, not necessarily to jump to the fact that we should have oversight over them. I think that would be the first approach and the preferred one if possible.
So, Commissioner McCarty, would you like to join us in that? Well, I don't know how you can. He's under there. When we have the meeting with, I welcome his, Commissioner McCarty, what I was going to suggest that you be part of this discussion group, since you are a former judicial, person. So, but I don't know how you're gonna get down here. That's the problem. Well, we can do, I don't know.
There may be sunshine issues as well. We might have to do a pig in order to.
Oh, a pig. I can do a pig. But anyway, well.
Wes, I would love to be part of that discussion. I think it's a very interesting area, but travel is out for me. I just can't travel. So if we could do it electronically, I'd be happy to do it.
We'll keep that suggestion in mind, see if we can facilitate that. I'd like to have your input. I mean, you've been there, you've done it.
Yeah.
And your name never appeared in the newspaper about some billionaire giving you a free ride.
No, that hasn't happened yet.
Too late. Okay. Anyway, thanks, Commissioner McCarty. Anybody else? Any other commissioner, staff? If not, stay tuned.
Hello.
Yes, Commissioner Tobias.
Just a question regarding the state employee status that we oversee, if you will, for lack of a better word. Is there any way that they would participate in the training? Because I think that's another approach, if they are willing to look at what the rest of the state employees have to go through in terms of ethics and the training. Not saying that we're gonna, jump on them with both feet or anything, but just to look at what we're thinking as we kind of go through and question what they're doing.
So just to clarify, the ethics code does apply to employees of the judiciary except for judges and justices. So they are subject to the mandatory training rule, and we do have full oversight over them.
Okay.
I think your question, Commissioner Tobias, unless I was misreading it, was to invite the judges and justices to participate in the ethics training. Is that correct?
Yes.
Certainly something we can explore. And again, the relationships we've had with the judiciary have been positive, and I think they've been very supportive. So this is not a situation where, perhaps contrasting it with the U.S. Supreme Court, where there's sort of a hostility. I think there's been more of a support for what we do, and sort of a openness to, particularly with judiciary employees, continuing what we do. So my hope is by having a conversation, receive, suggest, in a
Yeah.
friendly.
Yeah, and my question was to remain friendly. It is just to say, okay, have you seen what we're proposing for the rest of the state employees? And if you're interested in learning more about that.
Sure. Understood. It's something we can bring up, absolutely.
And I think the Supreme Court justice would probably be very responsive to that. You gotta remember, who vets us? Judicial Council, and who's the head of the Judicial Council. So anyway, but I think it's a good suggestion. Any other comments? Any questions? No, thank you very much. Going to item number 6. I used to say, I hope I'm alive before the rail is completed. Well, that's completed, not half completed, so I'm still half alive. So my question is, I hope before I retire, the Connor case goes away or settled or completed, because when I got on board about five years ago or so plus, that's the first case we've had, 1 out of 3 in the history of the State Ethics Commission, that we had a trial. And it was headed by, actually it was conducted by Ray Gralte. Sorry, Ray, this could be there to end this saga. So now with that.
So at the last meeting, a suggestion was made to reach out to the appellate court system to see if there's any update or status or other information that we could have. That was done, and essentially nothing to report. No real response. The case has been on appeal for 3 years now, having been finalized in 2020, which I did not find any easy to find stats. The length of time in court cases are on appeal. Historically, going back when I was in the Supreme Court a couple of decades ago, this wasn't out of the realm of norm. Again, back in the days of backlog, but 2 to 3 years was not, uncommon for appellate cases. So we're probably now pushing the edge of, an older case, or sort of on the, outlier, but it's not really completely out of the realm of reason for this to be sitting there for that long. Just, as a comparison to other appellate cases. You want to have a discussion about how long it takes for appeals to be cited, that's another matter, but I think at this point, we just have to sit tight and it will stay on our agenda as a standing item until we get a decision, hopefully soon.
It's on the Intermediate Court of Appeals, right?
Correct.
So if they're not happy, we're gonna go to the Supreme Court.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the Supreme Court has sped up quite a bit because they're now a cert court only. So
Yeah.
there's a process to apply for cert, they grant it or they don't, and essentially that's it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I have seen them, grant cert on other type of cases. This could be one of them, but anyway, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Anything else to be brought up by any of the commissioners on the? How about staff? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Hall?
Yes.
All right. We need a roll call on this. Roll call?
Starting with Vice Chair McCarthy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tobias,
Aye.
Commissioner Hong,
Aye.
Commissioner Thielen,
Aye.
Chair.
Aye, no objections. The meeting adjourned. We'll take a 10-minute break.